Let's take a look at this interview of Bassem Youssef.
Do you feel that your comedy has given you a form of release? And
Yes, the best feeling in the world when you go on stage and people laugh at your material. You somehow contributed in giving them a great time, a great night. Sometimes people are frustrated of how the media is reporting the news or how politicians are talking about the news. So when a comedian talks about something that relates to them, they relate to it. And the problem is that they put the comedians on a pedestal, and they put it on a place, on a much higher place or level that they shouldn't be. The fact that like other people are not doing their job, it's not my fault that like my words somehow resonate with you. It's just like the other people are failing to do their job. So people turn to comedians, which is not the best thing, because at the end of the day, we laugh about things. We don't have solutions.
your wife is Palestinian, and you did mention that, you know, her family are still in Rafah. First of all, how are they? Are they okay?
They are trapped in one building in Rafah. One family in one apartment, sharing the building with 25 other families. So hopefully they are safe. So for now.
Yeah. Do you feel that this has given you some sort of responsibility to talk about the issues that are taking place in the region?
The real question is our point of view have the same space and the same exposure that other point of view are there? And I think it's up to the people to choose. Again, I didn't plan for all of this. I was invited on one television show with Piers Morgan that went viral, and then I was invited again and again. And it's not a sense of responsibility. I think it's if I don't have my wife's family even trapped there, I think we should talk about what Israel is doing in general. I think it's a fair question to ask anything about the extent of freedom of expression that only stops at what Israel is doing, and whenever we talk about Israel being called anti-Semite. So I think even if the Gaza war stops today, there's a lot of questions that we need to ask Israel, and a lot of things that Israel need to be held accountable for.
Okay, so before I play the rest of the video, just want to make a few points here. Number one, in this interview, BBC, done by BBC Africa, they did not ask tough questions to Bassem Youssef. Why? The question is why? Well, the reason for that is because, remember, their audience is African people. And South Africa, they went to the court against Israel. BBC knows that if they are talking or asking tough questions to Bassem Youssef about his views or what is happening on the ground, then African people will not like it. And so BBC's station in Africa will be shut down, or at least will be boycotted, or at least will be exposed their hypocrisy by the African people. Because again, most of African people, especially in South Africa, they see this as a genocide. They do not see this as a conflict, as a war. They see this as a genocide against the Palestinian people. Number two, Western media wants ratings, not truth. BBC and Piers Morgan and all of these people, every time we see them bringing guests who are pro-humanity, pro-Palestine, you see they also at the same time want to make sure they get the ratings from both pro-Palestinians and also from pro-Israeli. In other words, they're so hypocritical, even though they come out and support Israel. For example, Piers Morgan, he's a by-born Zionist. He has Zionism in his bones. Even though he is like that, but for ratings, he does allow people who are pro-Palestinian, I call them pro-humanity, to on his platform to speak the truth. And the reason for that is because of money. So if you are a Zionist supporter and you are cheering that these people are supporting us, this media, Western media, they are helping us, they are amplifying our voices, then you really need to think about the real motive. It is not the existence of Israel. Yes, that is one of the main reasons, but it is not the reason why they bring people from different spectrums to raise their voice against Israel, and sometimes also against Palestinian. The main motive behind all of this is money. So forget about if you are a Zionist or if you are, the only people to me looks like who are very much sticking with the truth are the people who are pro-Palestinian. We do not change our positions. So if we invite someone from a Israeli camp, pro-Israeli camp, we don't sell out ourselves. We stick to what we believe. But for Piers Morgan, you see him changing his positions all the time. He's pivoting. These days, he's talking about Netanyahu. He's actually criticizing Netanyahu. He's also saying, what is the boundary, and so you see his tone is changing. Obviously, they know that their changing of position will not impact Israel and their status and the status quo they have in the States, because they know that the elite is so powerful that they're pivoting from one opinion to another would not really harm much. So for the purpose of making money, they do that all the time, soften their voice sometimes, and they become almost like they support Palestine and almost support and almost talk against the Israeli killing, and then the next thing you know, they change. So this is the hypocrisy of the Western media, especially people like Piers Morgan, I mean also BBC, CNN. They change their position depending on ratings and how much or how many views they're getting, how much money they're making. And this is my last point, guys. Piers Morgan, I'll play the video a little bit after this. Piers Morgan, he gave platform to the pro-Palestinian for ratings. It is not for truth. It was never about truth. Because Piers Morgan, everyone in the Western world is working for the media, they know the truth. They know this is a genocide, but they hide it. They change or try to change the narrative, just like this lady is doing here. She needs to really quit her job with BBC, call them out for their hypocrisy, but we see this is always happening. But here is the thing: when they give voice to the pro-Palestinians, pro-humanity, what happens is that they go for the ratings, they go for the views, but at the same time they actually in the process expose themselves. I mean, think about Bassem Youssef. He's just mentioned here in this video that I was not ready for it. I was not prepared for it. I'm just a comedian who will take my word seriously. And he said, I do not provide solution. And he is right, 100%. So these people, when they bring people like Bassem Youssef and pro-Palestinian, pro-humanity, and they get the ratings and they get views and videos go viral, the discussion, the debate goes viral. And then people gravitate towards those pro-Palestinians. And they start to see the real truth about people like Piers Morgan and the Western media. And so in most part, what I'm trying to get you at, in most part, inviting pro-Palestinian, inviting pro-humanity guests in Western media shows backfires. It backfires big time. It exposes them and their hypocrisy. And this is exactly what we find in this video from Bassem Youssef too.
Comedian who's on the global stage, your message has a lot of reception. So I'm curious to know how you deal with that on a personal level.
As long as you're away from social media, life is much better. Yeah. When you get too involved in following that screen, I use, of course, when I do research. If I'm going to prepare for something or a talk, I use it. But I think one of the things that I'm trying to do is to reduce my interaction with social media. And I remember like 10 years ago when I was still new on Twitter, I was like tweet back and reply and go after everything. And now
this part, they're talking about social media and all that, which is not relevant to our topic today. Thank you guys for watching. See you in the next video.